Okay, so we've got a fair bit of work to do, so let's get cracking on through. These are cubes, which is essentially the checkpoint, kind of similar to a bonfire from Dark Souls. Touch the cubes to restore HP and MP. It also replenishes our potions. It also revives any enemies that you've taken out. They will pop back as well. This kind of goes over some of the stuff that it already taught us a little bit earlier. So right stick in to lock on. RB is attack. B is soul burst. So we'll pop that. Let's see what this has to say. Left and right on the D-pad will activate your allies' limit break stance. So if we pop that, you'll see that their names are highlighted purple. And whilst they are in that state, they are a lot more powerful and also a lot more aggressive as well. To be fair, there's not really any downside at all to spamming that and keeping them in the sort of limit break type state. So if you keep your eyes peeled on their names, you'll see it's kind of like regenerating. So Ash's limit break is almost ready to use again. And then Jed's is kind of coming back as well. You'll notice that I'm kind of jumping into these pots and boxes and stuff. You can sometimes get some extra MP by smashing through those boxes. So it is worth popping those like as you pass them, just for a little bit of extra MP regen. Hold down select for the treasure chest. This talks about equipping stuff in battle settings. So if you press start and then press battle settings, what we can do here, there's quite a lot of information in this bit, but basically Jack has 2 jobs. So you can switch between 2 jobs at any time, specifically with Jack. You can press RB and LB to switch between your party members as well. And what we can do here is basically set a piece of equipment or a weapon. You can do that manually, or you can press select and then press yes to like optimize all the equipment. A lot of the time I tend to use that, but sometimes not so much. It also, if you do that, it will also equip it for both jobs, job 1 and job 2, and it will also equip it for your allies as well. So it will equip absolutely everything. But we don't really have much gear for the party members at the minute, so we'll just crack on forward. You can switch between jobs with the Y button. So you got job 1 and job 2. You can switch between those at any time. And like I said before, you can press left and right on the D-pad to activate the allies' limit breaks. So you can spam that pretty much as you want to. Let's get cracking on. Sometimes we have to sort of delete these things here. Basically, if you see one of these, it's usually blocking the way or blocking the path. So you just have to destroy it so you can move on forward. Just smash through this goblin guard here. Soul burst. Just pick up the equipment and stuff. So yeah, we'll just smash on through and soul burst this. Generally speaking, if you do see one of those things that we just smashed, it means that it's usually blocking the way to go or blocking a path. Push in the left thumbstick to dash or sprint. Rest at cubes. This talks about leveling up and job trees. So as you kill enemies, you'll get experience points, and then you can get job points and essentially level up the particular job. So we've got swordsman job tree here. We'll unlock that, and we'll also unlock that. I've got a point in duelist as well, so just pressing LB and RB to switch between swordsman and duelist. So that'll do for now. Let's grab this treasure chest. And as you're picking up more gear and stuff, it's worth going back to battle settings and then just pressing optimize just to whack that on to the party members as well. Magic attacks. That talks about magic attacks, and sometimes if you take repeated magic attacks, they can inflict a status ailment. So with this, basically we've just absorbed the fire attack by using Soul Shield. Then you can press X to use it. So we've cast 3 fire at the bomb, and it's made it self-destruct. So that is that. And once again with the soul shield, you can technically just keep holding it down. It doesn't have to be like a perfect parry or something like that. You just literally hold it. But just be careful because your break gauge is depleting the longer that you're holding it. So it does reward you more if you can time it to perfectly, ideally. But it doesn't have to be perfect, so just absorb the fire, cast it back, self-destruct, and that's that. You can pretty much do that for all of these bombs all the way down here. So just absorb the fire, cast it back, wait for some more fire to come for us, grab it. The break gauge got depleted there, so that's an example of us having our break gauge depleted, getting knocked down. Ideally we could do with getting some fire again, but we can just run in there and smash away. They use Lightbringer there. Pop some potions. There is a goblin here as well. So we're going to pop the party members into limit break mode. Just let them do their thing. Ideally we could do with absorbing some fire if possible. It makes this bit a lot easier if you just absorb it and then just throw it back at the enemy. You don't have to do that. You can just run in there if you want to and whip out the old melee and get get up in there and stuff. But either way, there's quite a lot of experience points you can get in this particular hallway. So if you want to go through this hallway a few times and get some experience points and level up your jobs and stuff, that's totally an option if you want to do that. So that hallway is cleared. There's a couple of extra bits that you can grab if you want to, and I think there is a cactuar, and I think there is an achievement for getting the cactuar, if I'm not mistaken. So what we'll do is go out the sides. I think there's an exit here. Once again, try and smash those if you want to grab some extra MP and stuff. Just going to get in there and go for Lightbringer. Once again, just pop the enemy's limit breaks. I tend to pretty much smash the limit breaks over and over, to be fair. Take out these enemies first, apparently, so let's go for it. As you can see, the party members are like insanely aggressive in that limit break mode. And then you just got to wait for their limit break to go through the cooldown, and then you can just spam it again. You can also fall off, but I don't think it actually kills your character, so don't be too afraid of like dropping off a ledge. It'll just do like a chunk of damage like that. So yeah, just watch out for that. Get cracking through. You can go this way if you want to avoid the enemies in the hallway. I think it's designed so that you can go around the sides if you want to, like this. It's entirely up to you. Just going to be smashing that Lightbringer again. Does a lot more break damage. You'll notice that the break gauges on the enemies are just getting absolutely destroyed when we're in this mode. So it's worth popping that if you can do. We get quite a lot of loot, as you can see. So once again, just battle settings and then press select and then optimize. That just talked about that some equipment sometimes takes up multiple slots, depending on the gear that you equip. It can sometimes take multiple slots, like chest and head, something like that. Let's get cracking on through. Cactuar is over here. I ideally want to grab the Cactuar, so I'm just going to put those into limit break mode to make sure that they grab it. There we go. Get some decent loot and stuff from the Cactuars as well. So that's that. It basically just brings us kind of like on this side of the doors. And we can level up some jobs. So let's pop some points into those. and duelist as well. What I'm going to do is switch jobs. The main two that I tend to use for my playthrough is White Mage and Ninja. So that's the first two that we're going to be aiming for, really. So what we'll do, Duelist becomes Ninja a little bit later, and Swordsman we don't really tend to use too much. So I'm going to try and switch out Swordsman. Oh, I can't switch it out just yet because I don't think we've got anything to be a mage with, but I think, yeah, this is the one. So it puts us a mage weapon in that treasure chest there on purpose so that we can now switch to mage. And it essentially teaches us some stuff about the mage class. So with this, let's just see what this has to say. Yeah, it just talks about the different mage abilities essentially, and that it can be useful in certain situations. So holding down right trigger, you can place that where you want, and then with the left thumbstick you can sort of like choose the direction with the left thumbstick on that wheel there. And if we choose water, that will then put out the flames. And you'll notice with mage, if you hold it down longer, it changes the spell. This just talks about that some elements are better against other elements. Things have weaknesses. Like the bombs are weak to water, for example. So it's water, waterer, and then waterger. But obviously they're very, very weak to water. So it's done massive damage to the health and also the break gauge as well. So that is that. Sometimes you'll notice there that we did a soul burst on one particular enemy and the other enemy was right next to them. We didn't technically soul burst the second enemy, but sometimes if they're very, very close to each other, it sets off like a chain reaction of soul bursts. So that is that. Let's get cracking on. So we've got caster shoes. And like I say, we'll be leveling Mage and Duelist because I want to get White Mage and Ninja. Enemy hiding in there. It kind of reminds me of the old Final Fantasy XI days. I used to play White Mage and Ninja on that, which is why I quite like the double job battle system on this, because it's very similar to Final Fantasy XI where you had two jobs. And one job was like your main job and the other job was like your sub job. Reducing max break gauge. Enemy break gauges refill slowly. When facing multiple foes, use Lightbringer. Yeah, we kind of touched on that a little bit earlier, but basically Lightbringer is one of your best friends in this game. So just use it often to delete the enemy's break gauges and set off like chain reactions of soul bursts. So I think you'll see it in this next section. We use Lightbringer and it just sets off a massive chain reaction of loads and loads of soul bursts. What you can do is we'll just do battle settings check real quick. That talks about job affinities there. So I'm just going to touch on that real quick. So you've got job affinities. So essentially how the job affinity works is if you have the mage class equipped, then your mage class will be getting the experience points. However, if you have a 30% job affinity with the duelist, then the duelist will be getting 30% of all those experience points. And then say, for example, you had another job affinity that was sword fighter, and if your sword fighter affinity was 30%, then the sword fighter job would also be getting 30% of those experience points. So that's a little bit about job affinities. For this particular bit here, we can basically pop the enemy and knock them down. It does a lot of damage to the enemies down there. But basically what we want to do is jump on down, go into Lightbringer. Be careful with this particular Alpha Wolf because they do pack a punch. You'll notice that the bomb that we kind of knocked down a little bit earlier has done a lot of break damage, and we're also doing a lot of break damage because we are in Lightbringer mode. Just sets off a massive chain reaction really of loads of soul bursts just like that. So that's why it's worth being in Lightbringer mode quite often, to be fair. So that is that. But yeah, just touching on the job affinities once again. Basically, long story short with that is if you have an affinity with a particular job, it will be getting experience points, even if you are not actually actively playing that job. And you also get a little bit of the stat benefits from that job as well. So that's a bit about job affinities. You can also get bonuses. So if you look in the middle there, you get like, it's like a set bonus as such. So the more affinity that you have with that particular job, for example, this one is the Mage affinity. If you've got a higher Mage affinity, you get these bonuses from that. You can also stack affinities as well, so you can have multiple affinities from multiple jobs, and essentially you get that from pieces of equipment there, and also from the job skill tree. So you can see that this particular caster coat here adds plus 2% onto Mage affinity, and I'll show you the job tree affinities a little bit later when we get to a checkpoint. So that is that. Let's just smash through the rest of this stage. I believe, if memory serves, we've also got a boss fight to crack on with. It's not too far from now, but I think this stage is quite lengthy, to be fair. It's got quite a lot of bits and bobs to do. You can create a shortcut. So if you see like ladders knocking about like that, just pop them down. Or sometimes like throwing ropes down and stuff. Creates a shortcut back to those cubes over there. So if you need to rest, pop back and rest at the cubes. This talks about, so we get a halberd there, which talks about the fighting style of lancers. So there's different types of physical attacks. We've got pierce, strike, and slash. And whilst you're attacking with RB, you can kind of press different directions. It does different types of attacks. Specifically with the lancers, you can do pierce, strike, and slash with this class. You can also throw the lance as well. So I'll just switch real quick to the lancer, so I can show you some of those bits and bobs. I'm just going to press optimize as well. So with the different directions, just going to absorb this fire real quick. So you can do right trigger to actually throw the weapon, and you can do like left and attack, does a certain type of attack. You can do back and attack, does a certain type of attack, and you can also do forward and attack. And that applies to most weapons. They do different kind of like attack patterns and stuff depending on the directions that you push whilst you're attacking. Although the Lancer specifically is the one that does the different types of damage, whereas the other jobs don't always do different types of physical damage. It's the Lancer that's got the one that has all types. So that is that. There we go, let's just get that soul burst real quick. I don't really tend to use Lancer a lot myself, personally, but if it's your jam, then, you know, it's your jam. I'm going to go ahead and flick that back to Duelist. Same with Duelist. Once again, you can press different directions whilst you're attacking. And it does like different types of attack patterns as you're attacking, like essentially up, down, left and right whilst attacking will do different things. Like with the Duelist, I think you can sort of like swerve around your opponent, or, you know, curve around them and sort of like get round towards the back of the enemy. Cancelling actions. It just says sometimes you can use instant abilities to cancel your actions or cancel the thing that you're up to at the time. Let's see if we can absorb some fire, ideally, on this. Try and get those self-destructs. We've got to be careful. This bat is got their break gauge depleted, so might as well just smash through. I've also got 2 bars of MP, so once again, in this situation, Lightbringer is insanely useful. Gonna smash away. Don't forget to pop your allies into limit break mode. Pretty much do that quite often. You can do different action abilities as well, depending on the amount of, not the amount of combos, the amount of attacks in your combo. So you can do like RB and then RT, and then you can do 2 RBs and RT. You can do 3 RBs and RT, so on and so forth. Just keep on smashing through. You can kind of customize that stuff as well. In your battle settings, you can customize the action abilities that are cast after, you know, the RB attack swings. So that is that. Let's just grab all the random shenanigans that are knocking about, and then we can push on forward. Head on up, and we're getting towards the main section here. We can rest at the cubes. Chain cancel. This talks about pressing Y immediately after using an action ability to switch jobs. It switches jobs slightly faster. So just to show you a quick example of that, basically if we do RB, RB, and then do action ability, you can press Y, and it does like a quick job change, like that. So Y after an action ability basically gives you a quick job change. Let's look at the job trees real quick. Using anima shards. This is another thing that we can do, which is basically use an anima shard for bonus EXP. Joining multiplayer games as a guest will earn you more anima shards than standard play. So you can use the online play to farm anima shards if you're interested in racking up a bunch of EXP. Basically how that would work is you are in your job tree just like this. You can press Y to bring up the anima shards menu. We have 1, which gives us a bunch of EXP. So pop that, press yes, and that applies it to the mage job. So we'll just unlock a bunch of stuff for the mage job. We've got Lance there as well. This is what I mentioned a little bit earlier about the affinities. So this increases the Lancer job affinity. Basically just gives you a plus 10% on Lancer affinity. So that is that. For now though, we are going to be rocking with the duelist and the mage. And this is what I mentioned about the combo abilities a little bit earlier. So what you can do is kind of set different combo abilities. We could change it to brute strike if we wanted to. So RB and then RT. You've got 2 RBs and RT. You've got 3 RBs and RT. You've got hold RB and then press RT. You've got all different types of combos that you can essentially set in those combo menus just there. But that is that for now. Let's push on forward. You've also got things that you can set in the left trigger, so the command abilities. I don't think we've got any available apart from Lightbringer. Lightbringer is always going to be LT and then B, but you can also set another 3 in there as and when you unlock them in the job trees. And that is that. Let's enter the Tower of Fate. So this talks about blockable versus unblockable attacks. If you see the enemy has like a red move, that's an unblockable attack that you just need to avoid or dodge or just run away from. So hopefully we'll see an unblockable attack so I can show you. That's purple. I'm not sure we'll get one, but That's fine. Basically, if it just says red, the attack is red above their head, that means it's unblockable. I think you just saw one there from the skeleton. That means you just need to avoid the attack. So just run away, or sometimes you can double tap A to do like a roll, or you might just do like multiple dodges to get away from it. So that is that. As you can see, there's quite a lot of information really with this game. There's a massive amount of tutorial stuff to cover. I don't think we can open these doors. No, that's fine. I think we have to get a key to progress. Let's push on in here. I think there's some enemies that will drop on us, but you just need to get this key from that chest. Just gonna go Lightbringer and limit break the party members. Smash away. So using some combo abilities there, so used a few RBs and then went for a RT to do like a combo. Let's clear that out. I think you can perhaps grab some extra stuff from this room here. Let's take a quick peek. Oh, we've got a Tomberry. These guys are harsh, and that's an understatement. Very, very, very harsh. So you've got to be careful of the Tomberries. They can pack an insane punch, so make sure that you got your health topped up for these. They've got access to quite a lot of different attacks. Once again, limit break your party members to help out. And if they poke you with a Tomberry knife, it's going to hurt. And it's going to hurt a lot. And at the higher levels, it can actually one-shot your character, so just be really careful with the Tomberries. So that is that. That's pretty much that room cleared out. Although you can get a lot of good loot and stuff from defeating the Tomberries, so it is worth defeating them if you can do. And this is kind of bringing us towards the end of the stage-ish. I think there's a treasure chest, if memory serves, just over in the corner here. So let's grab that. And then we're coming up to a boss fight very, very soon. We'll be using Mage and Duelist, I think, for this. Job trees. We're going to be working our way down to White Mage down here, so I'm going to be working down this side of the tree. Duelist doesn't really matter, just going to keep leveling it up until we get to the bottom. I think what we also just grabbed there was a command ability. So this kind of shows us that you can set another command ability here. Basically, that's the Venom that we just got from leveling up Duelist. You can set it there, so if we now press hold down left trigger to bring up the command menu, you can also press A. It also shows us that it costs 1 MP to cast Venom. Basically adds poison onto our weapon, if you want to do that. But yeah, other than that, just check your battle settings. This fight can be pretty spicy, to be totally fair, as a first actual main boss in the game. Make sure you've got your equipment optimized and stuff, and you got all your good stuff on. Other than that, let's jump into the action. Okay, so we're just going to dodge out of the way. Limit break your party members, your allies, as much as possible. Don't forget to be using block on this fight. I'm going to switch to Mage, I think, for this. I'm just like dodging around the sides here. I'm also going to go for Lightbringer so we can do a lot more break damage on this. Couple of attacks. I don't get too greedy. Don't forget you can also use Soul Shield to restore some of your MP if you block an attack. So a couple of attacks and then action ability. Just keep in mind that when you use the action ability, it will also take some MP to use it. Once again, you can get your MP back if you use the Soul Shield and you block an attack, it will restore some MP, which is very useful. So that's his break gauge depleted. That's phase 1 of the fight. Watch out for this. I was a bit too slow there. You basically just dodge to the side to avoid that. Usually left or right is quite good to get out of the way of that one. Make sure to top up your health with your potions. I'm just using a couple of attacks and then using an instant ability. I also find holding down LB whilst doing the sort of like side dodge sometimes helps. I kind of brought that from Neo 2. So sometimes you can like block the attack whilst you're also dodging. Make sure to keep your allies in limit break mode. So yeah, LB and then kind of like dodge at the same time usually helps quite a lot. I did a walkthrough for Neo 2 as well, and kind of learnt that from doing that experience. Make sure to grab all the bits and bobs from defeating the boss, and that is the end of the stage. There's loads more video game tutorials, boss guides and walkthroughs on my channel. Some videos have just popped up right now, feel free to check them out and give them a click. I've covered loads of games such as Elden Ring, Sekiro, Bloodborne, Dark Souls 3, Neo 2, Ninja Gaiden and loads more. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, thank you very much for watching and I'll see you in the next one.